You already know how to save money. You've known for years, and yet you're staring at a bank balance that hasn't budged. We often treat this as a character flaw, but the friction is actually built into the system itself. Your bank account reflects the architecture of your environment, regardless of your willpower. For decades, the frugality industrial complex has pushed the same advice. Cut out the morning latte, track every cent, and exercise more self-control. This advice assumes you operate like a perfectly rational calculator, immune to stress or social pressure. It relies on a version of human behavior that rarely survives the reality of a Tuesday afternoon. Breaking out of the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle requires a shift in strategy. Instead of trying to be better at math, we have to build systems that account for our inherent cognitive biases. Behavioral economists point to a specific psychological hurdle when explaining why savings accounts stay empty. They call it hyperbolic discounting. Our brains are hardwired to prioritize a small, immediate reward right in front of us, giving it massive weight, while almost completely ignoring a larger reward sitting years in the future. Rule 1 provides the patch: automate. By routing a portion of your paycheck directly into savings the moment it hits, you remove the decision entirely. You can't spend what you never see. Consistent wealth builders rely on automated architecture rather than the unreliable road of willpower. They aren't necessarily more disciplined, they just have better systems. Every day, you wake up with a finite amount of psychological energy and attention to give to your choices. Agonizing over $3 purchases burns through your cognitive fuel for an inherently capped return. This is the frugality trap, spending 80% of your energy on a variable you can only cut so far. Rule 2 focuses on the lever that actually moves the needle: income. As this chart shows, cutting expenses eventually hits a floor. You have to pay rent. But the curve on the right has no ceiling. Mathematically, a 10% raise does more for your future than a decade of aggressively skipping small luxuries. Obsessing over micro-costs while leaving your earning potential untouched keeps you financially exhausted and structurally stuck. There is a more insidious bias at play: loss aversion. Essentially, the pain of losing $50 is twice as intense as the joy of finding $50. This bias paralyzes investment decisions. It makes market fluctuations feel like a physical threat, causing many to pull back exactly when they should stay the course. The result is a retreat into safe options. We keep wealth in traditional savings accounts because the balance never drops, which provides a sense of emotional security. This timeline reveals the cost of that comfort. Inflation acts as an invisible erosion, eating away 3% of your purchasing power every year until only a fraction of your value remains. True security requires getting intentionally uncomfortable. The safest feeling option in the short term often leads to a guaranteed mathematical loss in the long run. These behavioral hacks have limits. They cannot solve systemic barriers like stagnant wages or the weight of student loans. Automated architecture solves the problem of consistency, but it still requires raw materials to function. You need a surplus before you can automate it. If you have that margin, do not attempt to overhaul your entire life at once. Pick one rule and automate it this week. Behavior changes most effectively at the margins. Think about what your relationship with money would look like if it were designed from scratch, free from the noise of social comparison or the habits of the people around you. Wealth exists in the gap between following a generic checklist and designing a financial life that serves your specific, intentional values.